Good afternoon, everyone. So my
Yes.
first question to you, from an understanding perspective, would be that so what has helped EdTech in the last 5 years? You think, in
Mm,
your view, what is in the last 5 years specifically that EdTech has grown up so much?
mm,
So we'd like to understand broadly the sector and its need for you. So in education as a sector, what do you see the need of education? Can it of technology?
yeah.
Can it impact incrementally the education sector? Can it
Mm,
impact exponentially? And how big you think
mm,
is the market for edtech?
sure. Sure.
If you can.
So I think first of all, thank you for having me. This is like overwhelming. More than 100 people, logging in to listen to me seems absurd to me. But thank you for being here. So the promise of edtech, Rajesh, has been there for pretty much 20 years. So entrepreneurs, one generation before me, also thought about edtech. So I don't think we came into a new idea as such, because the promise was always there, at least 25 years. People who are older than me by 20 years also thought in their prime they would have thought about doing an edtech company. I think the key change that has happened, that actually enabled the industry now, was the computing power available. So late 90s, absolutely no computing power available, right? Like early 2000s, computing power available, but concentrated in either universities or like high offices, and maybe only like the top tier or the bosses got computers. Your personal computers, pretty much no one had it. But I think beyond 2010, I think the rate at which personal computing started to increase, and but by personal computing, I'm referring to an Android phone that is affordable. So I think beyond 2010, the rate of personal computing just skyrocketed. Pretty much everyone has one computer attached to their thigh. After 2010 has been much higher than whatever it was, and I think that's the key driver, right? Everything else is yeah, I think that significantly changed. I think we were less than 100 million phones in 2009, 2010, and we are over a billion phones now. So I think that fundamental shift changed pretty much everything. And the other thing for edtech is, now if you think about household spends, anybody in their 40s, the top two spends they will list is one, rent / home EMI, and second would be education spend for their kids, right from kindergarten all the way to post grad, roughly, right? So these two spends are consistent in your lives. So for almost like a 15-16 year stretch, or sometimes beyond that also, there's a spend that is continuous for you. Now, so basically, it's a very large market. So if your top household spend is education and real estate, these are two super large markets. So it takes longer for technology to solve for larger markets, right? So the smallest market gets solved earliest, and middle markets gets solved in the middle stage. And I think we are now in the last stage of solving large consumer markets. We still haven't solved real estate, by the way, but I think for the next 5 years, we'll sort of solve real estate markets also using technology.
So in this overall edtech opportunity, which you described, is quite big. So today in edtech, we see that there are so many players around. Okay? And you described what Topper is trying to do.
Yeah.
Aren't other players also trying to do the same thing? More specifically, also, you think that edtech as a business, is it a business where winner takes it all is the market? Or you think many players can coexist? Or you think different players can take different domain specialties? What is your view on the competition?
Got it. So I think let me answer the second bit first, and I'll answer the first bit later on. So my take on any market is, all markets are at the bare minimum designed to be duopolies, so two-player market. We are yet to see a market that's designed for monopoly. We don't see any monopoly across any sector in the world, right? There is no sector that is a monopoly, except maybe governments can be monopolies. That but that's like a different argument altogether. So I think the minimum case for any sector is a duopoly. And duopolies can exist if it's a one-dimensional product, right? Like if it is only designed to do one thing, like for example, cab booking. It's only designed to do cab booking. You can say, okay, then we will live with Ola and Uber. I don't need a third player because there is just one dimension. Kitna differentiation chahiye, nahi chahiye. If as dimensions increase, maybe you can have three players, right? So if it's a two-dimensional product, I can do food delivery, but I can also do dine out. So maybe I will use three products. I'll use a Swiggy, I'll use a Zomato, and some customers might say, hey, this is more dimensional, so I want to. So I think as the complexity of a platform product increases, more players can exist because customers keep getting segmented, and there will be preference for one set of customers to go to one set of one product because of the dimensions they expose. So I think education/learning is a very, very high dimension product. It's very multidimensional. So there is conceptual teaching, there is adaptive practice, there could be live classes, there is instant response in questions. So it's like a 6-7 dimensions to the product. And there will be some players that do extremely well on 2 dimensions, some players that do extremely well on the other 2 dimensions, do marginally okay on the middle dimensions. So there will be more than, so my sense is in education, there will be more than 4 players, right? So 4 to 6 players, 3 large, 3 medium-sized players will eventually exist.
So you think each player will find their own niche, and 4 to 6 large players you see going forward in the market?
Yeah, so I think each player will find their go-to, and they'll go to the market with one proposition, and then the rest of the promise will follow. So somebody will say, hey, I'm a live class product, but they will also have practice and video classes and question sets. And somebody will say, I am a video class product, and they'll have the rest. And Topper might say, we are a practice product, and we'll have the rest.
So you don't think it'll be a market where winner takes it all?
A winner take all, it's close to impossible for any one player to take the entire market. The best, like I said, the best case is a duopoly. 2 players will take the entire market.
So you see a lot of M&A happening going forward?
I think so, yeah. So I think we are exactly where e-commerce was in 2010, right? So you had like almost 40 players. Flipkart was definitely not the established leader. There was one that focused on books and music, one that focused on electronics, one that focused on something else. And eventually, over the next 5 years, you got reduced to 3 to 4 players, and then over the next 10 years, got reduced to 3 players or 2 players, right? So with a late entrant like Amazon coming in, etc. So, yeah, I think over the next 5 years, you will see a lot of both new startups coming up as well as M&A happening.
Sure. Now, Zishaan, coming to the $1 million question, we are all living in COVID times. And, EdTech seems to have benefited one of the most from COVID. Okay.
Right.
So, is EdTech the new normal now in education? What has your and Topper's experience been with the pre-COVID scenario for EdTech business, post-COVID scenario? How do you think things changing for yourself as well as for the industry?
Yeah, so I think for any family, there were 3 decision points from an education perspective, right? There is a school which is mandatory, compulsory, you can't skip that. There is an offline coaching class option, and most parents would either hire a tutor or send you to a coaching class for additional studies. And there is an online option. So I think these were the 3 key stakeholders in the education space. Now our interaction with offline coaching classes head on, right? It's either us or them. So we are constantly fighting with offline coaching classes. And our interaction with the school is, they don't care about us, and we don't want to, ruffle them, or, we want to do stuff for them, but they don't care about online learning apps as much, right? So it's like a very ambivalent relationship. This was pre-COVID, and you were trying to dismantle the coaching classes step by step, slowly and steadily. I think post-COVID, what has happened is the dismantling of coaching classes has just accelerated. So for example, this year, I don't see any family enrolling their kid in a coaching class. School ka fee pay karna hai, nahi karna hai, wohi mark hai. So right, like should I pay fee for all semesters, or hold on and pay for just half the semesters is a question for school. Coaching, nobody's thinking about, let me enroll my kid in a coaching class immediately so that he can, start doing the coaching. That's not happening. So I think the coaching is completely dismantled. So, and that space tech companies are able to occupy very quickly, number one. And number two, I think now schools have become receptive about using a tech backend so that, business, from a business continuity point of view, they can do something. So I think these two shifts, one in the major players, both school and coaching, is creating a massive space for tech players, and that's why you see all the buzz is around because of this, right? So you're getting a primary space, and you're also getting some secondary space in the school.
So you think basically that there'll be negative impact on some sectors like coaching, but would some of the people here on the group also ask the question that would, let's say, is there a possibility that EdTech becomes the new way of teaching, so people don't have to go to schools, and there's a new kind of education system which evolves, which is purely run on EdTech. You also in one of your earlier addresses said that possibly you can get the world's best teacher, who can then limitlessly around the world teach people. You think that can become the new normal, or you think both will coexist?
No, so look, even EdTech, like I don't want schools to disappear, right? I want my kids to go to school because physical company with other kids is important, competition is important, social interaction is important. So I don't think any of us are rooting for schools going away. What we are rooting for is, can the delivery in the school change? So teacher there are two aspects to teacher, half of the teacher is actually pedagogy, teaching stuff, having that knowledge and then distributing that knowledge in the right manner and then testing, etc. So that's one part. The other part is building discipline, showing empathy, coaching me, motivating me, and most importantly for working parents, keeping the kid in the school for 8 hours. Who's going to keep my kid? If they're going to be homeschooled. So I don't think we are rooting for schools going away. What we are rooting for is, can the teacher focus on discipline, empathy, coaching, and can technology take care of pedagogy, delivery of information, delivery of knowledge, automatically correcting papers, etc. I think that's what we are rooting for. And also that brings in other additional benefits like standardization. So everybody learns same content, personalization. Everybody can use that content uniquely and high quality, right? So because the content is digital and the teacher is digital, pretty much everybody has access to the highest quality. So I think that's what we're rooting for.
So you're saying schools will not get disrupted, but coaching classes you're saying will get disrupted in a big way, even the competitive coaching classes and all?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like you can exclude the top 20 coaching classes because they don't matter, because top 20 coaching classes together will, even at 20,000 kids per coaching class, you're only talking about 400,000 kids, right? So let's say 500,000 kids, let's say 1 million kids. Million kids in top 20 coaching classes still prepare very competitively in a very, fierce environment. I'm talking about the middle and the long tail of another 100 million school children who are not in these top 1% coaching class. I'm talking about the coaching class outside Ghatkopar station, under Andheri flyover bridge. Nobody even notices if they vanish. You will only notice if a Bansal or a Resonance or a Allen or a AS Rao, stop or file for bankruptcy. But you won't notice if mom and pop coaching classes go away.
So specifically related to Topper, what has been the impact on business in Topper's case, pre-COVID, post-COVID? What was the run-up till date for last 3 years, and now how has it changed?
So on the web traffic, we've gone about 2x, about 80 to 90% increase in the web traffic. So we've gone 2x on the web traffic on the top of the funnel. On the paying consumer base, we've gone about 4x. So about 280% increase in number of paying customers on a monthly basis. So I think to see that kind of a shift in numbers, it usually takes 2 years for us, right? Like for us to grow 80%, it takes us almost 2 years. Month on month, that increase is insane. So I think all good. I mean, more than the number of paying customers, I think the reception for an online learning tool as a primary learning tool is high, both in parents' mind as well as in the school administration's mind. So I think that's school admin opening up their minds and thinking about tech and thinking about implementing a tech is huge shift. I think that's a fundamental shift. The rest can be delivered through capital and patience, right? So you can either spend money or you can wait it out, and this will happen.
So you're saying that traffic has increased 2x, but increased like 4x, which is very good. So you're saying paid users are increasing more than even the traffic increase.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Oh. So investors must be loving that.
Well, I don't know a case where investors are happy with any result, but no, I think they're optimistic, so they're bullish.
So is it okay to say that what you would have otherwise normally done in, let's say, 5 years as a business, okay, will now be doable in 2-3 years because
Absolutely.
of COVID?
Yeah. I think the 5-year cycle is now shortened to about 2 to 3 year cycle.
Which is very good for the sector.
Yeah.
And most of this demand that you see coming,
Mm-hmm.
see it coming from where? Is it coming from metros? Is it coming from non-metros? Some people on the group also have a question that what is the segment that you are seeing becoming majority of the user? Is it like 5 to 10, 10 to 12? Like, if you can dwell on that.
Right.
Just a minute, Zishaan. Sammy has just joined us. Hi, Sammy.
Afternoon,
Sammy, as you know, is the CEO of
How are you?
Hi, Zishaan. Hi, guys. I had an accident here, so it was. I was all. You don't want to know. I survived. That's what matters. I just got hurt a little bit.
All right. That's good.
Take care.
This.
That took me some time to call somebody and get first aid and all that. So anyway, I'm here.
Yeah. This year's theme is survival. So you're doing good.
Yeah. And I am just very lucky. That's all it is. So I'm sorry for interrupting. You guys continue. I have a question. And if you have already answered it, I'll get the answer later. But you guys continue.
Sure. Yeah. So user segment wise, Rajesh, so we operate for 5th to 12th grades, and our user base is equally distributed across all these grades. Maybe like a slight taper as we get to 12th grade. So maybe 5th graders are more than the 12th graders, but it's a very slight taper. It's roughly equal across all grades. And where do these users come from? Sign up wise, we have sign-ups from pretty much all 700 districts of India. So if you look at the sign-up map, you've penetrated the remotest. So you have close to 13-14 million users visiting your site each month, and that's on a base of maybe about 150 million school children. So that's like 10% penetration hitting your website. So, and if we combine all the websites, maybe 40% people hitting all websites combined. So I think pretty deep penetration. Paid users is just a subset of these free users, so they come from, and it's equally split, right? So about 35% from metro cities, 65% from non-metros, pretty equally split. We've tried to take multiple cuts, trying to figure out, which device did they log in? Is it like premium device? So maybe we can segment users by that. None of that works. It's very, very secular. I think one trend that holds very secularly is the, education spend trend. For the paid customer, I think there's one cutoff that you can apply. In general, we've noticed that households that make at least 5 lakh rupees on a per annum basis, are eligible to upgrade, right? Like, I mean, we haven't noticed families that make less than 5 lakhs upgrading to our pro version. So they might use the free version, but they don't get the paid version unless you make about 5 lakhs on a household level. So, between your mom and dad, 2 incomes, 5 lakhs.
So you're saying more than geography, it is basically the income cutoff level which matters.
Yeah, income for the paid version. Free version, again, everybody's using.
Okay. And between the 4 metros, is there a trend that A, B, or C metro have more penetration rather than is there an order there?
No, very difficult to pinpoint that. And when I say metro, we count the top 10 cities. So like including Pune, Ahmedabad, Bangalore,
Okay.
and Hyderabad, of course.
Okay. And you just mentioned Sami has a question. Sami, you can go ahead. Please ask the question.
Hi Zishaan, hi Partha, Rajesh, thank you. I don't know if this kind of a question has been covered. Probably not, but I thought I will ask it a little bit provocative.
Sure.
I am known to be that way, but I'm asking not so much about today, not so much about COVID, not so much about just this moment, which I know you're doing very well. A lot of companies are doing very well and fighting like hell. I'm thinking about some structural changes that are coming down the pike going forward that are going to be with us longer. I am an uncle of 7 nephews and nieces. Out of that, 6 of them are in schools, all of them in America. Now, there are a lot of changes happening there in the school systems which are being discussed because these children, one of them is in college and her college is permanently cancelled and made online till December, till the January quarter, right? January semester. They made it completely online. The schools, they are giving the parents the option to either send the kids to the school or not, but continue online because everything has gone to Zoom now, right? And then there are people such as yourself, Zishaan, in America, who are trying to capitalize on this, including Google, okay? Basically, and I've been talking to some people, mainly my brother, who's looking at this space to invest as well in the United States. What he's saying is structurally the education system in the United States is going to change going forward. So he's saying a certain 20, 30, 40% of the education is going to go online permanently. It's not going to be like right now, Topper, Baiju, etc. are some extra for the kids. Now, what my brother is saying, it's going to become the meat and potatoes. Yeah. There won't be snow days in school. And if traffic, he's saying this impacts traffic management because he says everybody goes to school in the morning, that creates a traffic rush. So schools will have different shifts and school buses will have, basically a complete metamorphosis of the school system built on technology.
Right.
It's day one technology, and he's saying that he literally told me your companies should see that as an opportunity to become not just the katoris in the thali, but be the thali itself.
Right.
Not the nice extra to have, but become the thali, become the bread, become the roti sabzi. And if we can become that, then you get a multiple that is 4x what you're getting today.
Right.
So it's a provocative question. I don't know any of that is happening in India or not. What are your views on that? What do you, how will you think about it?
So I covered some bit of this earlier, but let me just double click on that. Like I said earlier, schools were zero receptive towards tech. Like for example, we offered to open up our platform for the schools and help them build their entire pedagogy on top of a tech platform, because we also understand that schools are not great at hiring software engineers and building technology, right? So they need a tech company to do that for them. But they were zero receptive, right? You would not even get a meeting with a school principal, even if you go there in person. But now we have tens of schools reaching out and asking us if we can, help them, conduct the classes and actually redesign everything. So I think over the next 6 months, what we're going to see is a category emerge, and we are calling it the School OS, a school operating system that will help schools run on this. So we actually launched the product earlier this week, and we are going live with one school tomorrow. And this is, the largest school chain in India with 150 schools and 300,000 students that is going live on a tech platform and conducting live classes and designing assignments, everything on virtually, right? So it's like a two-sided platform. Teachers are also logging in, students are also logging in. So I think what we will fundamentally see is schools will adopt technology like crazy. A new category will emerge, and it can be called anything, but right now we're calling it a school OS category, a school operating system. And it's not unimaginable to think that the likes of Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and even Amazon might want to play in that category. So
yeah, that's good. It's I'm seeing that. I mean, it's a neat thing, and I talk to my nieces how they are enjoying that, and they have some variant of what you're talking about in their schools. They're already a little bit more technologically there, and the mothers who are actually very important decision makers in this. The mothers.
Yeah. So we actually launched a companion platform along with so Topper.com is our learning app. We launched Topper.school as the platform for schools to run their backend. So it's
very good. And as a part to do, I'm thinking once you build it, yes, of course, the American schools will have their own technology because they have a lot of it. But listen, there are countries like Indonesia which are large. There are many countries, not just India. Your marketplace is the world. So if you build something good, and I have a wicked feeling education is a vertical where India can build global brands. For the first time, we'll be building global brands in any area. It'll probably be education, and we could do that because it's scalable, and you guys are geniuses, and education is a common thing every country, every culture needs.
Absolutely. I think India is very, very well positioned to lead that one.
I'm just putting
across Asian countries, across African countries.
I'm just putting ideas into your head to make a 7x or 12x. That's all. For our
all right.
Yeah, that's our agenda, Sunny.
Thank you.
Partha also had a question. Partha, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So actually, this question is in two parts. So I'm sure, Zishaan, that Jio has made a huge difference in your business, right? I mean, basically, that all 700 districts you are getting queries from, primarily thanks to Jio, because data has reached those places. So keeping that aside, so how in this kind of a product where our education system is primarily built on boards, which is CBSE or ICSE or local boards, and they're fairly uniform content. So how will you differentiate, and what happens if Jio itself kind of decides that like now that I have the pipe, why shouldn't I have the content as well? Because education and healthcare are two like largest gigs. So how do you protect your business in the future?
Fortunately for us, this is a very, very layered product. This is extremely layered product. On the very top, or actually on the very bottom, is a content layer. So just because you have the pipe, you will also need the flow, right? So you need to create the depth of content that we have. Can you do that? Of course you can do it. Will it take time? It will take time, right? So you need that full content. Now we have organized 3 million learning pieces. So 30 lakh pieces have been created, organized across various boards, various exams, their relevance, their interlinkages, etc. That's one. The second layer is the data on top of this piece. So each question has been practiced tens of thousands of times by different students. And I know how that question behaves in respect to that particular student and vice versa. So that like you can have, so it's like Google, right? Like I can create a search engine which is almost equal to Google, but I don't have your search history. And therefore I can't personalize as well as Google does. Similarly, yes, you can create content, but you don't have the millions of data points that somebody else has over a 6-year period. And by the time you reach all the layers, you do the content layer, you do the personalization layer, you build the data layer, you'll get like a 3 to 4 year head start. So then at the end of the day, Jio is also a business. So they will take a call whether they want to put in $100 million to overtake a company or.
So you're saying that possibly machine learning would be one of the biggest differentiator you'll have because you have a head start.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm more worried about Amazon and Google doing this, because for them, 100
they have
million
the data.
size is absolutely nothing, and they have the skill to do it. Like, honestly, I still don't. I don't feel confident that Jio has the skill to beat a. They're great at infra, but I don't think consumer products. I don't see them beating a WhatsApp or a Amazon, the consumer side.
No, I mean, I was talking to somebody in Mountain View, and today, in fact, his evening time, and he was telling that now I'm worried that on Geo platform YouTube videos will load slowly. Now you have something called an FBGO. So, so I think Geo was just a question, but you're saying that the content layer can be built. The machine learning will always give you an advantage.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Vish also had a question. Vish, please go ahead.
Hi, Zishaan. Just on this self-learning, the premise is that less than 10% of the kids are driven and motivated to learn on their own.
Yeah.
90% of us need a danda, either from a teacher or a mother or someone.
Yeah.
To have a feedback loop of, whether you completed your classes.
Yeah.
And so these days, the online tutoring is actually gaining traction more than, let's say, self-driven learning like yours and Byju's.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Byju's is making an attempt to get into tutoring. Are you also looking at something like that, like a Vedantu?
Our live classes has been live for almost a year. And our live class
like where you're connecting tutors who may not necessarily be on your payroll?
Yes, none of the tutors are on our payroll.
Okay.
And our live class business is almost equal to Vedantu's live class business. Just the live class business, which is probably 1/6 of our business.
Because outside world still thinks of you as this personalized machine learning of, having a learning path for each kid based on how good they are.
Yeah.
Not many know that you actually do live classes. Like Byju's now started doing it. They've always seen that the form.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, we need to advertise more.
And so is that portion of that live classes growing faster than the machine learning side?
So live classes actually, ironically, live classes is pretty easy to build. Yes, it is growing faster, but the machine learning part is also growing very fast.
So the machine learning is the platform, and you put a live class on top of it.
So it's very blended, right? Like the user doesn't distinguish between live class ye hai or practice set ye hai. So if you do a live class, you want to come back and practice, and in the practice you make it adaptive by using machine learning. And while you are practicing, you get stuck and you want to ask a doubt, and you ask that doubt, and the bot answers it, being used to answer a question, and you still get stuck, or maybe we don't answer it properly, then we connect it to a tutor, and that's where the marketplace kicks in. So now these are like multiple components stitched together in a seamless experience. So for the student, it's like, attended a live class, practiced a few questions, asked a question, got an answer, but wanted details, so chatted with a tutor for 3 minutes and came back to something else. So multiple modules kick in to create a continuum of an experience.
Got it.
Great. No, it's very good. Actually, I guess people are so curious to ask you questions that even before my questions got over,
Okay.
Now, Rajesh, the floor is for you. So please go ahead.
Actually, it's good that people are asking, and keep the questions coming. So
I think Chintan and you have your task cut out to help Zishaan metamorphose from where he is. I'm not thinking Byju at all right? Byju is there. I'm not thinking Byju. I'm thinking Google, all right? I'm telling you, in America, the solution for this, and the reason I say America is the world's largest education market, both by way of manufacturing and by way of delivery. And they export throughout the world. We all know that. And they like it, and they have smelled money and they've made money. That's all I'm saying. We, on the other hand, we are probably as good, if not better, in K through 12 education than the United States.
Right.
I personally know that. We're all students of the Indian system.
Yeah.
Now, but what we don't do is a good job of packaging. We have not done it. We don't have foreign children coming here to study in our schools.
Yeah.
Now, That's all about to change. We will take the education to them. They don't need to come to us.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
totally possible.
So if Zishaan can make this .school OS, that can go to Arizona and Alaska and Vermont.
Yeah.
I don't care. And Topper is a pretty name. I think every American child wants to be a topper. So
On that, Sammy, the new curriculum is being released today after 15 years, I think.
where in India?
Yeah, in India.
Yeah.
Wow, they chose a different school to down.
No, they've been working on it for the last 15 years, and my guess is because it's being released after 15
So
years.
I hope technology is an important leg of it. My final point to Zishaan is whether the Indian market wakes up and smells coffee or not. My own humble view is anything that's regulated in India, they wake up and smell the coffee slowly. Cable TV moved very fast in India before regulation came in.
Yeah.
They moved before mobile phones, government could understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Everybody had one. But education, we have a very elaborate system, and I know it's a pretty good system. It's not a bad system, it's a good, solid system. So when you have something good, resistance is much more, all right? So my point is, even if that school OS thing, my just a small little 2 cents recommendation or request, I think looking at the global market, not just the Indian market, is a neat idea. Because if you somehow get ahead in Switzerland, chances are India will probably pick it up faster. Even it will be made in India for sure.
Yeah.
And
that's a very good point. I think we need to build it for the world. Right from day one.
Actually, a billion dollar idea, Sammy, because that is what will make it track big.
Yeah, and I think you will do it. I've seen your interface. I've seen your platforms. And I don't want to see a Google name in front of it. I don't want to see a Google topper. I just want it to be a topper in America. And then that would be how topper becomes Baiju, as far as I'm concerned. Huh?
Amazing. Yeah, sure.
So Zishaan, quickly, 2 last questions perhaps. You said investors are never happy. But what's your experience lately? How do you their thoughts have changed about funding for EdTech? Investors are never too happy.
Yeah.
But post-COVID, specifically for EdTech, what is your how investors' viewpoint will have changed? Would they start funding more into sector, and hence as a result, will we see more startups in EdTech coming up?
Yeah. So, and I was just joking when I said that, but I think our existing investors are pretty bullish now. I mean, they were bullish, of course, they were very supportive throughout. But some of them are even more bullish now. And there is enough, inbound interest on EdTech. So I think overall very bullish, just because this is one of the few sectors that will see a net positive out of COVID, right? Every other sector is going to be either neutral or negative. Most of them are going to be negative, and this is going to be like a hugely net positive sector. So that is one reason. The other reason is, of course, relative to others, where else you deploy capital? You can't deploy in consumer goods, you can't deploy in a bunch of other sectors. So relatively, because this is going to be the only sector which can absorb capital, you will see a flux of new startups coming up and new funding. And that's my sense over the next 18 months, that's going to happen. So we just need to wait out this 3-4 month period where I think the first 6 months are going to be sketchy for us while we deal with the virus, and then after that, I think it's going to.
Sure. And one last question, because you have so much experience in the sector, what do you think are the magical ingredients required to create a successful EdTech venture?
Wow.
What are the most relevant?
Rajesh, why would he tell you that?
Because
because I heard somewhere you had said that actually content is not so important. What you do with the content is more important.
Absolutely. So what you do with so I think I can tell you what to chase and chase that, and if you keep building for that, you will figure, you'll get the right mix in your product. So I think the 3 things to chase in our business, and ironically, our business is not very different from a chai wala business, but I'll tell you the 3 ingredients that we chase. the three ingredients, the three things that we chase are time per DAU. So on a daily basis, how much time do you spend? DAU by MAU. So daily active user by monthly active user. So what's that metric? And in the 12th month, what percent of my users come back? So if I acquire 100 users in this month, in the 12th month, out of this 100 people, how many of them are still present in the 12th month? Right? So these are the three metrics we chase, right? So daily engagement, DAU by MAU, and M12 retention. Now, these three metrics are not different from a Chaiwala's metric. So Chaiwala optimizes for every time you visit, they want you to spend the maximum money on every visit. They want you to come every day. So your daily visit in a month needs to be 30 out of 30 days they want you to visit, and they want you to come forever, right? So I think these are the three metrics that like a Chayos chases or Topper chases, and they are ultimately the same metrics. So now what do you do to maximize these three metrics is, why would I tell you?
I was going to tell you not to tell the group that. Anyway, yeah.
Right. So I think very good. We can just take one last question. There are a lot of questions coming to me, but if anybody wants to ask one last question, and then we can wrap it up.
Sure.
Amar, you wanted to ask something, or Vishal?
Amar here. Hi, Zishaan. So the question was really, we saw this inflection in when demonetization happened with people lapping up digital payment systems, and then they went back to traditional cash forms.
Yeah.
What do you think the industry of edtech should do to ensure that, after the COVID bonanza is over for the industry, so to say, that customers stay on with edtech and don't go back to, the regular coaching classes that are around the corner?
So, so first of all, even in Demon, I don't think we went back to the same levels, right? Like, yes, cash levels came back to the same levels, but the digital levels settled down at almost 5-6x of what they were pre-demonetization. So I think a lot more people had a lot many apps. So my mother started to use a bunch of apps, and she knows how to transfer money and, how to receive money, all of that. So I think, yes, levels will come back, but the new normal that will settle down is still going to be at least 2x of what it was pre-COVID. That's one. And second, I think Demon was like I want to say like a 3 months thing. This COVID is going to be like a 12-month thing. So I think there is going to be longer time for habituation. So things are going to fundamentally change. So the new normal is going to be higher than where it was earlier.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Zishaan. In the interest of the time, there are so many questions that I have, but apologies to all the people who have asked questions. What we can perhaps do is collate those and send you separately, and if you can, whenever you get
Sure.
time. But very helpful, very insightful, and we wish you all the best, and Topper all the best, as Sammy said, to become not only the India leader, but also the global leader. And
I hope we do that.
We all agree that is where the larger opportunity and the largest meat is.
Yeah.
And I think that it's sort of like the Seabiscuit, that horse winning the crown, Triple Crown. Sometimes these opportunities come episodically. You don't plan for it. You just don't plan for it. You wait and see now. You heard it first from me. Within maybe you heard it from somebody else before, but within a few months after this is all over, the world is going to start coming to India. They've not come to India yet. They're going to say, how the hell a country of 1.3 billion people had only 100,000 cases and only 3% fatality? Every reporter is going to carry their microphone and come and look, and then they'll go all file their reports. Right now, they're not asking that question. If they did, maybe they can learn something. They're not doing it. But the same way, people will start coming here and looking for ideas. It'll happen. They'll do a little bit after their situation is better, and then they'll fly out here, whatever they'll do it. And I think this opportunity is here, and the fact that you can seamlessly scale into a foreign market with no barrier. You have no barrier. There's no FDI. There's nothing. And nobody can tell you. It's like online poker. Somebody from India can play in a poker game anywhere in the world. The same way, some kid in Arizona can study on Topper. Why not? So the thing is, when you think about it, and math and science are the same, it's just that the newtons and kilograms should go to PSI and pounds and all that stuff. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is, I think this is a turning point where many companies, we are seeing the reverse. For cash, we saw a reverse after Demon. But for education, we are seeing another reverse this way, and it's on the up. You're going to be a famous man. You're already very famous. You're going to be very famous. And we thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure. I heard it here first, so I'm going to make a note of it. I'm writing down in my diary. I'm going to be famous. Well, thank you. This was great. Thank you everyone for joining, and thanks for having me over.